Hello, this is session 4-7, Proofreading and Editing, part 2 of the course Introduction to Desktop Publishing. Today, I'd like to start with sharing my screen, and then we'll have a slideshow. The Bible verse for today is Colossians 3, verse 16. Let the message about Christ completely fill your lives while you use all your wisdom to teach and instruct each other. With thankful hearts, sing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs to God. Father, we thank you so much that you created music. You gave us music for our enjoyment and to help us to praise you. And we're just so very thankful. We're thankful for your word, for your written word, that you inspired men to write down your written word, that we could read and learn more about you and learn about salvation, to learn about how Jesus died on the cross for us. We're so very thankful that you help us, allow us to share your love and share about Jesus with others, and that you allow us to teach people to read. Help us to learn and grow. Help us to learn the best stewardship of our time and our resources to grow your kingdom. I pray in Jesus' name, amen. We're going to go through this slideshow quickly because I've already taught a lot of these things in the prior lesson 4-6, Proofreading and Editing Part 1. So this slide says help with word control step 1, to mark out what you think might be a mistake. So you should print out of the copy of the book that you're proofreading, the primer. Print it so that you can have the two sides of the lesson laying out side by side on a desk or table, or print with both pages of the lesson on one side of the paper. That's landscape, or that's called a spread. Look through the story for new words, new letters, new syllables. The ones that are listed in the word boxes on your printout and at the bottom of the lesson in the text boxes there, look for them in the story, and then on your printout, put a check mark so you'll know you found that word or letter in the story. And if you're looking through the story and you see a word or a letter that you think might be new, put a circle around it, and then you can search for it and find out if it's really new in that lesson. Use a pen with red ink when you're proofreading, red ink or any bright color, and that will help you to go through your proofreading and to do your editing. Here's a hint for searching for if this is actually a new word or not, or searching for a word that you think might be a new word in a certain lesson. Make a new computer copy of book 1. Save a copy of book 1 with a new name, such as book 1 to search. You can delete all the pages that are in front of the first lesson, the first page of the first lesson. And you might want to delete some pages at the end, after the end of the last lesson in book 1. And this will make it easier for you to search. Search through book 1 and book 2 for the new words. Just make sure that they're new, or any word that you think might be new, or perhaps a letter that you think might be new in a certain lesson. You can search for it. You can also search for your word list in Excel or in Microsoft Word. You can search through those lists just to see where that word is first found. So I want you to practice all the things that I'm teaching. Okay, this is the list. We talk about keeping a list. You could keep a list in an Excel file or in a table in Microsoft Word. And there may be you might already have a list that the primer consultant sent to you. In a word list or an Excel file could have several columns. You should have a column for the word, column for the lesson number. You might have a column to say this is a picture word. You could have the word yes or a Y or blank in that column. You don't need to type no because that's just making extra work. You could have a column for the lesson number. That's very necessary. We need to know what lesson that was found in. And you could have a column with the translation in your trade language. It might be English or it might be another trade language in your country. You could have extra columns, whatever is useful to you. You might have a column to show the root word for this word, this new word, or perhaps the new word is a root word and you might have a column to show some similar words. But you'll decide what columns would be helpful to you. Maybe a column that says what part of speech this word is, that might help. You can also search the word list, we've already said that, and update the word list as you're proofreading the books. Help with word control, more about a list. You can sort the word list in different orders. That would help. If you have the word list or the Excel file in alphabetical order by the word, you can go through on the computer, go through the word list, see if there's any duplicate words. They'll just be under each other. And you can either mark it by turning it red, that word. And you can also, you should go to that lesson and find that word and maybe put a circle around it. So until you make certain that it's new in that lesson. And don't delete it out of the word list on the lesson until you make sure. And don't look, you could turn it red in both places just until you make sure that that word is new or is not new in that lesson. And then fix it in the word list and fix it in the lesson in the primer. I'm going to show you how to merge the words in lesson numbers into a Microsoft Word document so that you can print this out in columns, and that would save paper when you're printing it out. It would be good to have a printed out list in lesson order to check the lessons of your, while you're looking through your printout of your primer. Check the word list also and see if the words in the word list are the same as the new words pointed out in your lesson in your primer. So, and here are the steps in merging. You can use the merge command also in making letters. Maybe you have 100 letters that you want to send to 100 the same letter you want to send to 100 different people, and you can use these merge directions to merge the names and addresses of 100 people into that same letter. You'll have 100 letters and they'll all be addressed to a different person. That would be very handy for you. Most of the things that we're teaching will be useful in other documents and like newsletters and not just in the primers. So that's one reason I want you to practice often. So we're going to stop this. We're not going to go through this today. Well, here is help with word control. Start at the beginning. And we've already gone through this in the prior lesson. If you're starting at the beginning of checking the word control, if you don't have a list, but if you have all the finalized stories, here's a good way to check word control. Copy and paste all the stories into a new Microsoft Word document. Type the lesson number at the top so you'll know what lesson it is. Save this document as stories only. First, you put all the stories from book 1. Then after that, you put all the stories from book 2. Start at the beginning of this document. Copy the first word, go to replace, select find whole words only, and replace this word with the same word but in red throughout the whole document. Then add that word to your Excel file or to your Microsoft Word table as you're starting a list. Select the next word and go through all the stories this way from the beginning. Start at the beginning every time. Soon you'll see that the stories even further along, they have a lot of the words have been turned red. Go through the entire file and remember to save your stories only document often because the words are being turned red. And save your word list or your Excel file often because you don't want to have to do this again. So that's the end of this slideshow, and you have the PDF. I'd like you to go through it, and that will help you a lot. I'm going to go to an actual Excel file. Now I've sorted this Excel file alphabetically by word, and you will notice that if you have some special characters, it may not sort out exactly correctly. Here we have some words that start with an open O, and really they should be sorted under the C's, because the computer will think this is a C, unless you have your computer is set up for a different language. So let's go down here to the C's. We have a lot of words that start with an A. We have some words that start with a B. I don't think we have any words that start with a C, but we have some words that start with an open O. And also the epsilon will not sort out correctly. It should come after the E's. Okay, here's some words that start with an E. Here's some words that start with an epsilon, the E sound. But a lot of the words that start with an epsilon are going to go to the end. The computer just didn't know what to do with them. I don't know why he mixes them up. But just remember that if you have special characters, your list may not sort out alphabetically exactly correctly, but you can keep searching. Now we're going to sort this. I'm going to maximize this. The sort is over here, or you might have it a little tiny icon if you're, or the sort command might be in a different place. But we're going to click the little arrow so we'll have more control over how it's going to sort. First, we're going to select. I'm clicking at the very end, at the end of all my words. I'm going to scroll up as fast as I can to the top. So we'll select all the columns so they'll all stay together. We don't need the first line because that's just the title of this column. So I'm going to sort to the little arrow. We always go to custom sort, so we'll have more control. You don't have to do that if you're just thinking about one part. Okay, now it's set up to sort the words alphabetically, and we don't want to do that. We're going to change this level. We're going to change it to column C. It should say the title of the column, and it didn't here. The column C is the lesson number, smallest to largest. Now we'll add a level. Now we'll put the word here. Column A is the word, sorted alphabetically A to C. I'm going to click OK. And we see this is lesson 82. So we have 82 lessons. Go up to the top. And this is all 4 new words in lesson 1, 4 new words in lesson 2. And they have, the words have been sorted alphabetically within that lesson. You can see. So this would be really handy to have this printed out in lesson order, and also a printout with the words in alphabetical order. And I'll just, after I show you how to do a merge file, then I'll tell you how to use the different lists. I'm going to save this because I sorted it, and we need to save it before we do a merge. I'm going to just minimize it and go to Microsoft Word. Now you have these instructions in your PDF file that I'm going to show you. We go to mailings because this might be mailing a letter or mailing in things with envelopes or labels. Mailings. Over here we say start mail merge. We don't want the computer to have control. We want to have control, so we're clicking the little arrow and we're going down here. Step by step mail merge wizard. That gives you more control. And over on the right, I have to move my little picture. I always have to move it out of my way. Over on the right, it gives you some mail merge choices. We want a directory. We don't want a letter or labels or anything. We want a directory. We're calling it a directory, a list. Now at the bottom, it says for the next step, you need to start the document. We want to use the current document. I think I have it set up in columns, maybe not, but I have a small margin here will help us. Use the current document. Next step, step 2, select the recipients. These might be recipients of the letter, or it might be the words we want to put in our directory. Use an existing list. Browse for our list. It's in my documents. There it is. And it asks you, does the first row of the data contain column headers? Yes, that's really not that important, because if you get something you don't need, you can always just ignore it. Okay, this is the word list. It's sorted correctly. We don't need to sort it. We're going to say okay. And you see nothing showed up, but we have another step. Step 3, arrange the directory. And it gives you some choices. We don't want to ever do any of these. It's better to have more control. Select more items. So it's given me a list of database fields. We want the word. We're going to say insert. And we want the lesson number. You could select all these things, but we don't need them today. The lesson number. I'm going to close that selection box. You'll notice these are generic words. They're just placeholders. Your actual word is going to go there when we finish, and your actual lesson number. But I need to put a space in between them. You could go between the little graphic marks that show the separation. And also at the end of that line, hit enter. Be sure to hit enter, or the computer will want to put everything on one line and he'll just go like that. But if you hit enter, you're going to have each word on a separate line. So that will be great. Now, the next step is preview your directory. Preview. Yes, that looks correct. It has a word, it has a lesson number, and it's starting with lesson 1. That's exactly what we want. Next, complete the merge. We're going to click that. We're going to go to it, make it go to a new document with all of the words in the directory, all of the words. And now we'll find out if I remember to make columns. Yes, I set this up to have 3 columns. You can do lots of different things under layout, so you can remember that. Now, one other thing I want to show you, I'm going to select all, Control A. We're going to put in some line spacing or paragraph spacing, so we'll have a lot of space between the words, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay, I'm going to put spacing after paragraphs, and you could put in as much as you want, or you can just have it to double space. The reason we want a little space is we're going to print this out, and you might see a word that you want to add here in this lesson, or several words, and you can write them out in hand on your printout, and then you could type them in the list later. So this is great. This has, it says 16 pages. That's after I put in the spacing. Let's look at it for a minute. Let's look at lesson 7. You'll see the lesson numbers. Everything has been sorted by lesson number and then by word alphabetically within that lesson. So that's great. That's exactly what we wanted. You will use the printout in lesson order to just check your primer lessons and check that you have all the words, new words that they said were new, and that they're in your word list. And you can also sort the Excel file or the table by alphabetically by word, and you can do this same merge. You'll get an alphabetical list. It might say lesson 82 up here or 38 or something, but the words will be in alphabetical order, and you should put spaces between them. And the reason is you should use your alphabetical list just to write in when you find a new word that's actually new. Write it in your alphabetical list, and you can write it in the letter order list also. And if you're searching, as you think this is a new word, you're not sure, you have it print out in alphabetical order, that will just help you to discover if this word, if it's already in that list. So that will help you a lot. I'm going to close this down. Don't need to save it right now, but that's a lot of information. And I hope that you will practice everything, go over everything. You can always email me, and we'll be in contact in the future during the class and even after the class. And maybe we'll get a phone number that we can phone each other and email each other, and we will have video time together also. So it's just been great helping you. I hope it's a big help. So that's all for today. Goodbye.